Yes, here.
Okay, so I guess over to you, Matt.
Great. Well, welcome everybody to the 2021 Digital Davos. This session's blockchain productivity applications and new opportunities. We have a great panel today. I'll go ahead and do some introductions. Starting from the top, we have Jason Kelly, the head of IBM Blockchain. Hi, Jason.
Good to see everyone. Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you. It's good to have you here. It's good to see you again. Chow is the CEO of ShelterZoom, which is also known for it's a product DocuWalk. Chow, welcome to the panel.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, lovely to see everyone.
It's great to have you here. And Oliver Krause. Oliver, thank you for putting this together. I know this was a last-minute panel that we put together. We're really excited to be here. Oliver is the co-founder of Liquidity and Untitled Inc. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt, and thanks for your help actually for this panel. I think you will.
It's my pleasure, I'm happy to be here. Unfortunately, I get the pleasure of having three people I know fairly well here, and I think this is going to be a great conversation. I think we're going to take a slightly different approach to blockchain today, being that everybody here has got real application experience and is actually in the market deploying. We're going to have a little bit of a different conversation as far as productivity goes. So the rules of this are, I'll ask a question, and when you're done with your comment, I'll wait 3 to 5 seconds. If there's no follow-up, anybody can jump in and pick up from where the last question was left off, and let's run it around the horn, if you will. And we're going to go each question to everybody, and then we'll come back for a last question and then a wrap up. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Great.
All right. Jason, you run arguably the largest and most successful blockchain unit in the world. And there are a few things that you really haven't come across, from government to Fortune 500 to emerging growth. You know, when you walk into doing a blockchain installation, laying the foundation, the infrastructure, from an integration side, from a product side, what are some of the things that go through your head when you see a new opportunity coming from IBM's vantage point? And the part two of this question is, what are some of the things that you guide organizations when looking at doing blockchain installations? Because we're kind of past the conceptual stage of what blockchain can do, and we're into executing in integration. So.
Well, I'll tell you, Matt, it's, first again, thanks for having us here and being able to join all of you virtually. It would have been much more enjoyable face to face, considering the situation. And I'll use the current situation as a backdrop, in that we have to think about blockchain. I often call it the B word now because it's overused. It's a lot of hype around blockchain. So the first thing that we often ask, myself, my teams, anyone around the world, is blockchain even needed? So we start with the outcome. What is the outcome that we're looking to achieve as a team? And I say we, not we as my teams in IBM, but we as a typical group / team / ecosystem. I avoid the ecosystem word because yet it's another buzzword. But when I think about having, just as this session's entitled, application capabilities. So just think of outcome-based capabilities, such as what Chow and the team has around documents. You have to have an outcome first, and then you find your way in to the how. So it's the what and then the how. So we're going to assume that the what is trust and transparency. I said I'd use the backdrop of the current situation, which is the pandemic. And right now around the world, people are receiving vaccinations thanks to a lot of inventive and work around the clock people. That we have a vaccination, and as they're given a paper document. Think about that, a paper document in modern day, where you're saying, okay, I just received it. Well, Why is that? Shouldn't the outcome be that I have some sense of validation that I can take anywhere in the world that isn't going to be destroyed if it gets wet or if it catches on fire? So someone says, oh, sure, it should be digital. Yes. And so yes, and it should be portable. It should be private. For me, it should be my data. I should be able to share what I want to share and not have my data owned by other people. So now we're starting to talk about these outcomes. Think about what I said, something not paper taken into digital, something that's portable globally, something that is mine, my data. I've just outlined requirements across transactions, if we can call it that, because it's no different than getting a vaccine to the injection. It's these different handshakes that are often brokered by antiquated means, paper, people that are being paid, by the way, to broker that handshake versus just having it done and me owning my data. So back to your question. First, does the outcome require blockchain in the one that I've just described? Well, the outcome would not require blockchain if you just needed a piece of paper. But if you needed the trust and transparency, the portability, and the privacy and security that I've just mentioned, then blockchain is a solid opportunity to start, because it's not going to be the end all be all. It is only going to be the catalyst for other items, because at that point you're going to say, well, in shipping that vaccine, to make sure that I got the right vaccine, perhaps there's IoT involved. Now you're going, oh, wow. So now blockchain is going to empower IoT. Yes. And what if those vaccines that I need, that Matt needs, are sitting, a country over, if not a city over? Well, how do we have that visibility? Well, why not have some AI and demand sensing involved to understand, what's needed where? Now we're hitting all these other capabilities based on blockchain. So I think that this capability is a bright, shiny thing that is really a catalyst for others, and it only is appropriate when it drives the right outcomes.
I'm going to transition this because I think you queued this up perfectly for Chow. Chow, it wasn't too long ago where we were in stock exchanges trading ticker tape for stock. And as Jason mentioned, we have paper currency, we've got paper documents. You've taken document management and blockchain kind of to a whole new level, and with your DocuWalk platform. And do you want to tell us a bit about DocuWalk, document things, and some of the path that you've gone down? And what are some of the things that you're finding as a productivity application that's effectively working today?
Yeah, sure. So DocuWalk is basically a blockchain-based document management system. And it's really, the aim is to transform documents, contracts, transactions into fully digital, intelligent, interconnected, and interoperable assets. So if you think about anything in the world, it's really come down, they are all commodities. And doesn't matter, it's a document, it's a contract, or it's an asset, it's a real estate, a piece of land, and they all actually has its value. So when you actually think about, Jason mentioned, how to make those documents and contracts secure, portable, and it's digital. So it's kind of smart, and it truly require a technology, like blockchain, because it is a handshaking, application, and it creates a lot of trust and auditability. So the aim of this, the DocuWalk, is really to open up a new paradigm of the shift, and to create a contract of things and the document of things. So similar to the Internet of Things, in which devices get interconnected, and document of things and the contract of things, which is trademarked by Shelterson, is also aimed to connect all those major part of your life, your documents and your contracts, and making sure they're yours and no one else can actually scan them, and you have the control over your records. So this is really the business requirement and the outcome we try to achieve. So with the blockchain in place, and we truly increase the productivity efficiency. The reason being is you no longer need to go back and forth with many negotiation. Let's say you actually negotiate a real estate contract or a sales agreement, and you can immediately go inside the virtual negotiation room we created and then negotiate in an auditable and trackable manner. And everything's immutable. And imagine now you just have one piece of paper and everyone come and sign this paper, and you cross something off, you need a witness to witness. And with the virtual negotiation room, the issuing party has a token, and then the counterparty has another token. They have the content on the token, and to really have that auditability and have the control over the negotiation steps. So this is really the what actually blockchain empowers this type of the real life productivity package. So yeah, there's a lot of the business use cases in that.
So you've embedded legal into the document sharing process, a legal process in the document sharing process. Interesting.
Yes.
This opens up new opportunities and monetization. Oliver, let me go over to you really quick. Oliver, you sit on a number of boards and funds on the monetization side. You've heard Jason, you heard Chao. What are your thoughts on some of this?
Well, I mean, I can fully agree to what has been said, and maybe I add here a bit my perspective on the whole blockchain technology, which is for me really a foundational innovation at the intersection of tech, economy, and sociology. And why is that? Because what did the Bitcoin blockchain bring to the world? It brought us the unique digital bearer token, which sits on top of a distributed database, which is then automatically synchronized via a consensus mechanism. And the implications are basically that the double spend problem for value on the internet has been solved. And secondly, that we have this single source of truth. I think Chao mentioned that. And this is done by this tamper-resistant, time-stamped, auditable documentation of data records, basically. This is done. So this opens up, for me, 3 generic use case classes. One is the peer-to-peer transfer of assets on the internet, which is really new. And secondly, it is replacing very expensive, and Chao, you elaborated on that, very expensive manual or semi-automated trust provisioning and verification, synchronization services, which are provided by a plethora of third parties. And this is replaced by software, by the consensus mechanism. And thirdly, and this will be the next step, we have these tokens, and they can work as so-called, I would say, incentive mechanisms, incentive machines, yeah, to make people do things. And this is actually the next step, which is not yet, I would say, fully understood by many business, but really opens up the opportunity to offer new products and services, and also develop new business models on top of this base layer.
During we had a prep session before this call, and you brought up a couple key tiers that you see from monetization. One was peer-to-peer manufacturing and tokenization, and I want to bring this back to Jason. Jason, you see all this stuff. How does it all interconnect?
Well, I think if we look across this common platform, and we've called it before, the new OS of trust, and we've just gone through a few different thoughts. We have digitized documents that aren't just documents. It's not just taking something physical and making it digital. You heard Chao say, this document can be smart in the sense that it can actually shake hands with another document. Yes, we're the same document, and no one is involved physically. To Oliver's point, it becomes a sense of just assumed automation. with the B word somewhere back in the weeds. You don't have to know what is doing it. You just need to know the outcome. Like, Matt, when you flipped on the switch in that office there, you didn't sit there and go, I wonder where the electricity is coming from. How many electrons are actually going through what amp is that lamp? You don't care. You just want the light.
Yeah.
And so we're getting outcomes. And with that, that says that, all the buzzwords, and we can go, even when you say tokenization, people's eyes glaze over because they go straight to Ethereum, a Bitcoin, something. They think of it as digitization. And you take that and you say, okay, Matt, how does it come together? Think of a common platform of information, trusted information sharing. Trusted, and then also permission, being you're only going to see what you need to see, or what is everyone's going to say is permissioned to see. So that, in a sense, think of, we all always say, oh, big data, but it's always been siloed in who can share what. Well, if you could let people share what they want to share in a trusted and secured manner, it then pulls out all of those other places, people being paid to broker that data. So that's the first thing. It comes together because there's a common capability. And then you start saying, well, now that we've pulled down those barriers of sharing data and communication, maybe we're also going to pull down other barriers to entry into markets. To Oliver's point, now I don't have to, if I live someplace remote, I don't have to get in a car, forget about my carbon footprint, to drive to a bank and get approved through a bunch of other handshakes. I can actually do that digitally now. Oh, well, what if I'm in a remote place and I want to open up new markets to new businesses because I don't have to go find a bank. I can now do this digitally, and you can confirm my identity. I am who I say I am, and I'm selling what I am going to sell. Now we start to say, wait, we don't have to broker the relationships of artisans that may be in Latin America or maybe in Africa who are coming up with very unique designs that never see the light of day that they own it. It's whomever gets it to market that owns it. It's like, I can now own my business, my design, my print in my village, and I don't have to have a server. I can touch into this thing called cloud, a hybrid cloud. So it doesn't matter whose flavor cloud. I know I'd like to say, IBM cloud, but could be AWS, could be any. We just pulled down the barriers of all these things. All I have to do is have some way to connect, and that still is a one barrier. But if we can just reduce some of those barriers and the brokers, we get lots of benefits. And that's a purposeful alliteration there: barriers, brokers, benefits. And then we're able to move a lot faster, Matt.
So I mean, we're really getting down to is and this gets back to Chow. We're talking about productivity, and Chow, I want to throw this to you in a second, but listen, you lay a lot of piping and a lot of pavement for a lot of large organizations.
I'm gonna hang up, but keep an eye on your.
The thing that's holding back blockchain today, I think if we look at anything, I'm sorry, we just got interrupted. When we look at blockchain, we look at the adoption of it from an operating system standpoint. I mean, we need more productivity applications for the infrastructure.
Yeah. So I think, throughout the last 4 years journey, we have learned a lot. And, we initially started with Ethereum type of the public blockchain. And what we actually have found was, even though the concept was great, but the speed, the cost, and, there were actually a lot of challenges. So last year, we actually made a very, at that point, a very turning decision, I would say, turning point decision to move across to Hyperledger framework. Because Hyperledger framework actually gave us the, not only the scalability to grow into a true enterprise application, but also give us a lot of capabilities in permission management and all identity management, all the things actually really required by corporations, enterprises, even just consumer in general. So this move actually, what we really believe is actually open up a big door for us. So truly to make application very user friendly and make everything so just easy to use. So it provides the business value back to users. So I do want to add a couple of benefits, if it's okay. And one of the things is the tokenization of documents and contracts actually opens up a new paradigm shift for e-commerce. So imagine the e-commerce, a lot of things are built on contracts. Without those smart contracts, fast, immutable contracts, and e-commerce can only stay at a certain maturity level. So now with this fully digitized and interconnected smart contracts, e-commerce can grow much, much faster. Then the other thing is reduce data pollution. And as actually Jason and Oliver mentioned, now the infrastructure pressure is so high because everyone, every second is produced so much digital data. Most of them actually waste. It's really, you never go back and look at them again. So with blockchain, the tokenized records, documents, contracts, everything can become a single source of truth because it's immutable, it's actually trust source. So let's just give a very simple example, your driver's license. It can be now used by bank if you apply for a loan or you buy a property and you go through a real estate due diligence process. So every single party can now just point to that token to see the single source of truth of your driver's license. And many, many copies now being eliminated and all reduced to one single source of truth. So I see those benefits really going to accelerate the growth of blockchain applications, reduce the infrastructure burden.
I know we're getting tight on time, and I want to throw a last question out there for it to go around. Adoption of applications. What's really needed at this stage? Usability, functionality. Does blockchain really matter to have? I mean, should it be functional without blockchain, but blockchain being the benefit and opportunity?
Matt, I'll jump in there because I'll bridge off of what Chow just said here. Is Chow called out something? It's open, it's scalable. Hyperledger is something that we jumped on early on with IBM. We made a bet on something we thought would be industrial strength. We also just struck a partnership with Arthur Corda because they too are the other platform that's very scalable, very trusted, very capable. So it says that there'll be a platform of platforms. We know that will be open, but if it's not the technology, what is it? And I think what we found more often than not, technology is 10% of the effort, 90% is the business process and the change that organizations are going to have to. We think of all those brokers that are they're doing those handshakes. What do we do with them now? That changes how this happens. The speed at which things can get done. Businesses aren't ready to move that fast just yet because they're not structured that way. So I think that's one of the largest barriers. It's not the technology, it's the other software that sits in everyone's brain. And
so how do you overcome that?
I think that it starts with this, what we're doing here. It's understanding and sharing that data. It's people, thought leaders out in front like Oliver saying, don't get upset about what you think is a crypto crazy, environment. It's really just digitization and tokenization. So I think getting smart and informing and then getting started with the outcomes. Because if we show the outcomes, if we show that we can get a vaccine all the way around the world and into the arm of a person and allow that person to have a digital tokenized passport, and I'm going to call it using some of those buzzwords, then it says, wait a second, that's value. So that's what we do. We put it in the places where we think the biggest challenges are, and we get those outcomes. And we've been doing that as the now 100 and almost 10-year-old startup that we are at IBM. So we keep doing that. And it only happens when we put a team together like we have here. It is truly a team sport.
All right, so everybody, let's three takeaways for any business organization looking to implement blockchain from your vantage point. Oliver, you want to go first?
Yeah, maybe I can add to what Jason just said. I mean, the adoption, or to your question, the adoption question, I think most critical is also the end user, basically the consumer, who then either consumer or the business user. And you need actually the applications that really provide a solution to a real problem, because for many of those there are solutions out there, and any new technology has to prove that it's either faster, better, or cheaper, basically. Yeah. So, and this is the key point when you are looking for adoption. Yeah.
Interesting. We've seen this in different industries, like in the automotive industry. Tesla is a great example. Moving from petrol to electric, he had to be faster, better in order to win that market share. And I think blockchain certainly checks those boxes. So productivity and use cases. This is the net takeaway.
Yeah, and also I would add, just focus on business outcome, focus on business value and the benefits, and use blockchain as an enabler rather than a controller. And blockchain is has a lot of benefits, and how we maximize those benefits and blend those into your solution, into the goal you try to achieve for your customers. That is really the key.
Excellent.
No one's selling a bucket of blockchain, Matt. No one can sell that yet. So take the functionality you get with Chow and her team, and that'll be a great start.
I like it. I like it. Well, does anybody have anything else they want to add to this? Productivity, sales, and monetization.
Hello.
Oh, good, I think.
Okay, I think that's it. Well, listen, thank you for coming for the 2021 Digital Davos. It was great to be here, and I look forward to doing it again. Chow, Oliver, Jason, thanks so much. By the way, Jason, nice pin.
A gentleman by the name of Matt Bird gave that to me when we were live in Davos, and I can't wait until we're live again in Davos together. Thank you. I wore it in your honor. That's exactly.
I appreciate it. I noticed it when you jumped on.
I have a little pin here too.
Yes, see it.
It's not from Matt.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
It's so great that the folks here at Digital Davos put this on. I know a lot of us, well, none of us are going to be going to Singapore, but I really do hope that Davos and WEF kick off back at Davos in 2022. I think we're all missing it right now, and I'm really appreciative that the good folks over here at Carl and his partners had put this together. So thanks so much. On behalf of everybody here at Compro Worldwide and the Traders Network Show and our network affiliates, ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, and we're all thankful, and we look forward to the archives coming out. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.